Hey guys, welcome back to the Healthy Honey YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about something pretty different than what I usually talk about. And I'm doing this because I see a need for it, and I feel like this is something that I really wish I would have been able to watch before I ever did a coffee enema. So if you're here, if you're watching this, chances are you are considering doing a coffee enema or already doing coffee enemas, or are just really curious because you're like, what the heck is a coffee enema and why is Audrey doing them? But basically, I want to go over why someone might be doing a coffee enema, how to do it, the supplies that you need, the supplies that I use, tips and tricks for doing a coffee enema because they can be kind of technical. And yeah, just really walking you through the whole process of how I set up, how I do it. It's not going to be graphic. Like image wise, I'm obviously not going to show you me actually doing it, but I will be pretty graphic about like how to do it because that is the kind of instructions you need when you're going to do something like this. So first, why might someone do a coffee enema? A lot of people, including myself, when I first bought my good old coffee enema bucket, bought it because I thought that it was like really good for your colon. I thought it was good for constipation and gut issues. And I really learned that that's not really the sole purpose of coffee enemas, although it can help unplug you if you are clogged up. It isn't a long-term solution for that. If you're struggling with constipation, I would encourage you to work with a practitioner. I am not a practitioner or a health coach, but I would increase fiber and like flax meal and things like that, and magnesium really helps with kind of getting yourself regular. So I personally would not go to coffee enemas if you're struggling with constipation as like your first attempt to kind of work through things. Coffee enemas are actually really, really good for your liver, and that is like the main reason that I'm doing them. It's actually the only reason I'm doing them now. So it actually, the caffeine in the coffee, from my understanding, increases bile flow in your liver, which helps your body detox and flush out toxins. So it's really helpful when you're on a protocol to detox something like me right now, detoxing mold from my system. I'm taking a bunch of supplements that are really stirring things up in my system and trying to get them out. And coffee enemas just really support my liver in flushing all those toxins out. So I'm actually doing coffee enemas 2 to 3 times a week right now. And I feel so good after them now that I have learned how to do them correctly. When I first started doing them, I was doing it for my colon and I had no idea what I was doing. I wasn't working with a practitioner. And now I am feeling so much better that I'm doing them right. But that leads me into the second thing I want to talk about, which is I highly recommend working with a health coach, a doctor, a functional practitioner, someone that knows your health specifically and knows if your body is ready for a coffee enema before you just dive into it. I am not trained in that way, so I cannot tell you if your body is ready. And if you decide to go for it regardless of working with a practitioner, just, be aware that you might have some bad side effects or Herx reactions. Because sometimes your body is not ready to kind of activate your liver and start flushing toxins out, especially if your detox pathways are not opened. So when I first started working with my practitioners that I work with now, I was hardly sweating, I was hardly pooping, and those are the main ways that you flush toxins out. And so no wonder I wasn't feeling great after I stirred up a bunch of toxins with the coffee enema. So highly recommend working with someone and asking them what your body needs, and if you're ready for a coffee enema, and if you are, what can you be adding into the coffee enema for you specifically? Okay, now let's talk about the supplies that you need in order to do a coffee enema, and I'll kind of show you guys some extra things that I use to support myself in having a really good coffee enema. So there is a lot of options out there. I did a ton of research, and this is what I found to be the best. And then when I started working with my practitioner, this is what she recommends as well. So I was very happy that I made this purchase. It's not necessarily cheap, but I will link everything that I use down below. So the first thing, I use a glass coffee enema bucket, I guess you could call it. I think that's, I don't know. But anyways, I like that it shows the measurements on it because I do 20 ounces of coffee in my enemas, and I like that I can measure it right on here. I also like glass because it's non-toxic. There's a lot of like cheap plastic enema bags on Amazon, and I just don't like the idea of putting hot water or hot coffee into a plastic bag. And I feel like those get pretty gross and you need to replace them more often. This is like, as long as you don't break it, I mean, looks pretty good. I put coffee in here 3 times a week and have been for quite some time, and it still looks super clean. So this is the one that I use, and it comes with this tube. These are the things that start to scare people. It comes with this tube, and then it also comes with the tip, which I just realized I forgot, so I'm gonna go grab it. Okay, and then this is the little tip that you insert into your butt. I don't know what to say other than that. So this attached to the tube, and I'll show you how I set this up when I'm actually doing it, and then this attaches here, and this is how you get the coffee into your colon. So that is the bucket that I use. Again, I will link it down below. And then the coffee that I use is Core Vital, and you can get this on Amazon. Again, I'll link it. But this is like organic, mold-free, premium ground coffee specifically for enemas. You don't just want to use the coffee that you're drinking unless you drink this. But this is actually, you'll see when you make the coffee, it's like a blonde roast. It does not look like normal coffee. So I would highly recommend getting high quality coffee, since you will literally be getting it directly into your body. So this is the coffee that I use. And then this is one of the things that my practitioner suggested and has been a game changer for me to be able to hold the coffee enema for the full 15 minutes, which is how long I try to hold mine, has been blackstrap molasses, which I also got this on Amazon. I'm sure you can find it at the grocery store, but I go to Trader Joe's, which does not have like a large section of things, so I just got it on Amazon as well, and this is non-GMO, so I'll link this too. Blackstrap molasses. I'll show you exactly how I do it in my recipe when I make the coffee. And then another thing I like to add into my coffee enema is 2 drops of tangerine essential oil. This helps with glutathione production. I learned that from someone that I follow on Instagram, and I think it makes the coffee smell really nice, and it just makes an overall more pleasant experience for me. But it does kind of tint the glass and the tube a little bit orange, so that's something to be aware of. You gotta really scrub it down afterwards. And then I also put hydroxygen from Cellcore in my coffee enema, but this is specifically for my detox protocol, so I'm just telling you guys what I do. I would not recommend, I don't think you even can buy Cellcore unless you're working with a practitioner, so I wouldn't recommend just adding that in, and I don't think you need it. I think that's just what my practitioner said she thinks would be most beneficial for me and my coffee enemas. Another thing is I love to put Digei's essential oil on my stomach ahead of time, just to kind of get things flowing. You also want to go poop before you do an enema, so this can help with that. If you're struggling to go in the morning, just like rub this on your belly and it kind of gets things moving, and just, yeah, I feel like it helps my colon kind of just like relax and do its thing. So that is the supplies. You also need lube to put on the tip, which I know is kind of gross, but you can use like coconut oil or anything really. Just use something clean, non-toxic. So let's go make the coffee. Okay, I just filled up my water and heated it up to 50 degrees Celsius. I use my Berkey filter water. I know some people say only use distilled, so use what you're comfortable with. I personally feel comfortable with using Berkey water, but definitely don't recommend using just like tap water because there's a lot of weird stuff in there. So anyways, I heated it up to 50 degrees Celsius. I personally think the best temperature to go into your body is 40 degrees Celsius. Not too hot where it might burn you or be really hard to keep in, and not too cold where it's really hard to hold it for 15 minutes. But I do take a bath before I do my coffee enema to get myself sweating, toxins moving, and I really do think that has been a key part in them being so effective and me feeling so great afterwards. My practitioner also told me to do that, and that was a game changer for me. So I make it a little bit hotter. That way when I'm in the bath, it's sitting and brewing and is the perfect temp when I get out. So I'm gonna show you guys how I make it. Okay, so just a reminder that this recipe is specifically for my body and what my practitioner recommended for me. The first thing that I do is put Core Vital coffee in the French press. So I do 3 tablespoons for my recipe. And then the next thing I do is add the hot water to the coffee and fill it up to 24 ounces. I do it to 24 ounces because once you brew it and then French press it and pour it out, it ends up being about 20 ounces of coffee in the enema pot, which is how much coffee I like to have for my enema. Okay, and then the next thing I do is add 2 teaspoons of blackstrap molasses. I like to stir it into the coffee with the hot water so that it kind of just melts off, and I just have to make sure to stir it really well so that it all dissolves into the coffee before I leave it there to steep. Okay, and then last but not least, I just put the French press lid on and leave it there to steep while I go take my bath. Okay, now that the coffee is made and brewing in the French press, I am going to take a hot Epsom salt bath. I usually add some essential oils that are super relaxing, and I just wait until I start like dripping sweat, and that's when I get out and do the enema. I am gonna show you guys how I do the enema before I get into the bath because I really like to go straight from the bath to the coffee enema so that my toxins are like free flowing in my body, and I don't want to like stop for 5 minutes and explain it all to you guys and have that process slow down. So I'm going to explain it all now, and then I'll take the bath, and then I'll do the coffee enema, and then I'll show you what else I do. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do when you are going to fill up your enema bucket is close the clamp. You do not want your enema coffee just going all over your kitchen. So close the clamp. And then I'm going to press the coffee so that it keeps the grounds out. And then I am going to put the coffee into the bucket. And it is a dark color, kind of looks like normal coffee because of the molasses, but if I just did the coffee, it would be a light color. Okay, again, this is an optional step, but this is when I add in 2 drops of tangerine essential oil and the hydro oxygen. And then I like to stir it up, and then the coffee is ready to go. Okay, so this is where I personally set up. I put a towel on the ground, definitely recommend that. Toilet right next to me, and then I put the coffee enema on the side of my bathtub. It does need to be elevated. It could be a little bit more elevated than this, but this has worked for me, so this is what I do. Okay, this next thing is kind of a technical step, but before you put the tip in you really want to make sure that coffee is all the way to the tip with no air bubbles. Otherwise, you will experience some serious pain. So what I always do before I start my enema is open up the clasp. You can see some coffee comes out, but I just lift it all the way into the air until the coffee all goes back out and there's no air bubbles. And then what I'll do is let the coffee smoothly come down out the tip, and then I'll close it. So now you can see it's fully full. Okay, so now that I showed you the tube all set up, ready to go, I just want to finish the video here with exactly how I do it without actually showing you, and then just some tips and tricks that I've learned along the way to make it go more smoothly. So first thing, after you get the tube all ready, the coffee is to the end with no air bubbles. If there are air bubbles, release the clamp again and lift the tube up in the air and let all the coffee go out back into the bucket. You'll see bubbles come up again, and then try again. My first time, it took me a couple tries. Then you will want to put whatever lube you're using on the tip. This is what I use, Pure 03, honestly, just because I had it, but you can totally just use coconut oil or whatever. I'll link this in case you want it. It is like ozone oil, which is great for like your face and stuff too, but I just use it for that. And then you will want to lay on your right side. I highly recommend setting the mood in the bathroom that you're doing it in. Turn the lights off, light some candles, turn on a diffuser, turn on peaceful music, put essential oils on. Really just try to ground yourself, because It is a little bit of an invasive process, and it is hard to hold the solution for a long time if you're anxious and wound up. So I really try to take like deep breaths, really center myself, and then insert the tip. Again, you're laying on your right side, and you can kind of bend your knees towards your chest, not like a complete ball, but just like bend yourself that way. And then insert it in, take some more deep breaths. When you're ready, unclamp it and let the solution flow into your colon. If it's not flowing, like if you can like look back, at least I have to look back. Like I'm like laying like this and the bathtub's behind me. I like look back. If it's not going down in the bucket, sometimes you need to pull the tip out just a tiny bit, and that will let it go in. So just see what works for you. Just make sure that the solution is actually going into you. It doesn't take very long for the whole bucket to empty into you. I will say that sometimes it's best as beginners, and sometimes I have to do this still, is like let a tiny bit in, close the clamp. Take some deep breaths, let some more in, close the clamp. Let some more in, close the clamp, and just kind of take it slow. You may only be able to hold half the solution. Again, I would talk to your practitioner or health coach to see how much you should be trying to put into your colon at the beginning. So I know some people say like start with 1 cup of solution. Another thing is some people do a water enema before they do the coffee enema to kind of flush their system out, especially if you were not able to poop that morning. Because you want it to be somewhat empty so that the coffee can fit in and you can actually hold it, rather than just like it being a laxative, which literally just you wouldn't be able to hold it at all if you had a bunch of poop in there. So that's something to note. Okay, and then as it is emptying, at least with the bucket that I have, towards the end, if I'm able to fit all of the solution in, you kind of need to grab the bucket and hold it like above you and tilt it down, because there is that little spigot on the side, and if it's flat, the coffee would stop. It's also okay if you made a little extra just to let it stop there. But once the tube starts draining and you're at the last of your coffee, I would clamp it before the air gets to your body, because then you would have air bubbles and it would be really hard to hold it. So I don't ever put like all of the coffee in. I usually do it when it's like halfway down the tube. I clamp it and then I'm done. So that is the next thing. As you are laying there, highly recommend just taking deep breaths and relaxing. Some tips to hold it. Again, you want to hold it because it's not just meant to be a laxative. It is meant to activate bile in your liver, and it's going to do that by sitting right over your liver and letting like the caffeine and all the stuff in the coffee get to your liver. So as you're laying there, some things that I have found help me is bringing my knees closer to my chest. Sometimes, like if you feel like, oh my gosh, I can't hold it anymore. Another thing, I don't really understand this, but I read it online, is pinching these 2 fingers really hard together. I think it's like a pressure point or something. I don't know, but I'll often do that the entire enema. But especially if I'm like, I can't hold this anymore. Another thing is there are times where you really just can't hold it anymore and there's nothing you could do about it. And so you just run to the toilet and it is what it is. You made it as far as you made it. There have been many times where I've made quite a mess and it's disgusting, and it's the realities of healing. And so I just have to remind myself, it's okay. This is literally so disgusting, but it is what it is. So if that happens to you, you're not alone. Not many people talk about all of the messy experiences of coffee enemas, but they have sure happened to me. And then when your timer goes off, whatever your time is set for, what you'll want to do is like slowly unplug it, put it in, like I usually just put it in the bathtub, the plug. Again, the clamp is closed, so it should just kind of sit there. And then go to the bathroom, release yourself. I highly recommend having a squatty potty. That's like the really ideal position for your body to be, for your colon to be like pointing directly down, I guess. So I'll link the one I have below as well. I got it on Amazon, I think. And then you go to the bathroom, sit there for a while, let everything out that needs to come out, and then you're done. I do a water enema right after my coffee enema because I think I have some caffeine sensitivity, and my practitioner was like, I think doing a water enema after helps so much with that, because you just, again, use purified water, put it to 40 degrees Celsius, and then you don't have to hold it at all, but just let the water go into you. and then go to the bathroom right away, and it just flushes out any excess coffee so that you're not like all wound up, because I used to get pretty bad anxiety after I did them before doing the water enema after. So that is basically it, I think. Okay, I just finished my enema, and I'm gonna insert this in the video because I forgot one really important thing to do after you finish your enema is to take a binder. So you just kind of stirred up toxins in your body. You're helping your liver flush them, but it's really good to take a binder so that the toxins can kind of bind together and be flushed that way. So if you're on a protocol where your practitioner, health coach, doctor, whoever is having you do enemas, make sure they already have you on a binder. And if they don't, I would ask them to put you on one. I always do my enemas first thing in the morning after I go poop, before I eat. And then once I finish my enema, I take my binder and eat breakfast. I also like to have a green juice after I finish my enema just to kind of replenish my gut. That's it. I know this was a pretty long video. There is a lot of details that go into coffee enemas. I will put a little video from the company that I bought my enema bucket. It's like a little like cartoon graphic that kind of shows some more details. I found that helpful when I was doing it. But yeah, I hope that this is a good experience for you. I hope that it brings you as much health and energy as it has brought me. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. And now I've got to go take a bath and do my enema. Bye.